Welcome to the Search Virtual Luncheon today on Facebook Live. I'm Rick Campo and I'm chairing the event today. I was thinking about when the last time I was on a Facebook Live event, and it actually was during Super Bowl 51 in 2017 here in Houston. And if you think about that, that was 3 years ago, and wow, it doesn't seem like it was 3 years ago. And it was an amazing event, and it was all about bringing the community together. It was about bringing Houstonians together, and that's what we're doing today here with this Facebook chat or Facebook Live luncheon. We're trying to bring the community together to celebrate the great work that Search is doing, the great work that we're doing as a community to fight homelessness. If you think about sort of where we are today, we'd like to fast forward, I think, and go forward into the future and sort of get out of this mess that we're in today. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. So what we have to do is we have to face the issues that are right in front of us, and we have to deal with exactly what's coming, every single day at us. And unfortunately, the homeless folks are the most vulnerable in our community, and we really have to focus on bringing the community together, bringing our health professionals together to solve some of the issues that we have to deal with. We're all in this together, but it's toughest for our neighbors with the least amount of resources. It's our responsibility to help, and I appreciate everybody being on the Facebook Live today to support our mission of providing hope, creating opportunity, and transforming the lives of men, women, and children who are trying to break free of the cycle of homelessness. We're here today to honor Carrie and Jonathan Brinston. Now, I've known Jonathan for quite a while. We're actually competitors, and you might think it's kind of odd that competitors can sort of work together as in community events. We have never been able to do business together, but we have been involved in a lot of community activities, including Search. And Jonathan and Carrie are, I think, role models for how Houstonians should give back to the community that has been really good to them. And that's sort of the way I feel about my role in Houston too. Houston's been really great to my family and to me and my Camden family, and it's very important and critical to give back to the community, especially in this time of COVID-19, when we are isolated and not around our normal circle of friends and family. It's really important to focus on how great we really do have it, and then be able to pay that forward into the community. And that's what we're here to do today at this virtual luncheon. We're really excited. I'm really excited about what's going to go forward. We really need your help today. Please join us in supporting Search and our community and our homeless population by donating online. There's buttons on your screen to be able to donate. Please donate. We really appreciate your help and your need for that. One of the things that we did during Super Bowl I thought would be fun today would be to have a multi-denominational invocation. So we've asked Rabbi Hayon and Reverend McDonald to lead us in that today. So Rabbi Hayon, why don't you get started? Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. I'm Rabbi Oren Hayon from Congregation Emmanuel. I'm delighted to be with you. Thanks for being part of today's very important proceedings. We're going to begin today in gratitude. Although none of us are able to gather together in person, nevertheless, all of us are grateful for the fellowship that sustains us and for the awareness of mutual responsibility that binds us together. This virtual gathering reflects a great diversity of faith, many, many varied ways in which we come to understand the divine. But all of us in our own way understand that we share the foundational principle that all of us are called to love our neighbor, that we're all made in God's image, that we're capable of recognizing the divine in each other and in the good work that strengthens our city and all of those who live here. Today, we acknowledge and celebrate the moral conscience that is implanted within all of us, the light inside that yearns for justice and compassion, that urges us to preserve our city as a place of dignity and respect, where even the most vulnerable can thrive. Today is a day of thanksgiving to those whose loving presence allows the people who dwell in Houston's lonely shadows to come into the light of healing and wholeness. And it's a day of tribute to Search's entire circle of support, whose courage and generosity builds our capacity to help the vulnerable and heal the hurting. Today we remember that the greatest comfort and the most potent source of healing comes from the presence of a loving community, from the compassionate nearness of people who care. And so we give thanks for all the loving hearts that are with us on this day. Compassionate God, we give you thanks for your steadfast presence as well. It reminds us at all times that we are not alone, but that we walk in the presence of one who is the source of healing and the source of love. Oh God, we pray that the words of our mouths, the meditations of our hearts, and the work of our hands will be acceptable in your sight. And we say together, Amen.
I'm Jeff McDonald. I'm one of the pastors at St. Paul's United Methodist Church in the Museum District in Houston. And we are proud to be one of the congregations that is supportive of Search and the Coming Home program that's there. And glad to be with you all on this virtual meeting today. Would you join me in a word of prayer? God of us all, you know what frail and ordinary creatures we are and how we fall into the daily routines of our lives. Our old habits grow over our creative impulses, and it's harder to feel new feelings and be the people of righteousness that you have called us to be. So we come together in these difficult days and we offer ourselves to your service. We join with your people all over all creation. We move beyond our usual boundaries and explore life as you would have us live. A time for hearing new thoughts and voices, and to listen to your voice with eagerness and obedience. We seek your richest blessings on these days ahead and on our leaders. Open our hearts and minds to the hundreds of possibilities before us, and fill us with warmth and joy, not only in ourselves, but in the fellowship of others throughout our community. Live in us in new ways from this day forward. Let your teachings become alive to us with new intensity. Let the spirit of love and sacrifice take hold of us as we care for others. For this is an important time, O God. It is your time, and we want to be there in it. Amen.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us today on Facebook Live. My name is Tal Costas, CEO of Search. And I am just so glad to have you with us and to learn a little bit more about what's happening in Houston and our homeless population. You know, battling COVID-19 has us all recognizing the importance of community health. Strong community health requires that we take both individual and collective responsibility. And it's not just about our healthcare system. It's about the environment in which we live. We can't be personally healthy if our community is unhealthy. People who are homeless, living on the streets and in shelters, they face risks and pose health challenges for both themselves and our community. And what we're learning is that ending homelessness and tackling this virus actually share three common needs. First, coming together for a greater goal. Being able to stay in a safe home, building and maintaining strong connections. So first, coming together to make homelessness brief and non-recurring. Why was this important before COVID-19 hit us? And why is it so critical today? You know, most people who are homeless, they have lived through deep poverty or have had traumas that contribute to chronic illnesses and complex conditions. They don't have easy and regular access to healthcare. Living out on the street can be really taxing on the human body. They age faster and they have shorter lifespans. Somebody who's in their 50s can look like they're in their 70s. They are vulnerable on a normal day and prime targets for catastrophe today. They can't get to hand washing capabilities and being able to get clean regularly. They don't have natural places to go to recover or to self-quarantine if they do become ill. So fortunately, our local city, county leaders and service partners have come together to address some of these big problems. But it highlights the second common need in ending homelessness and tackling this virus, the need for a safe home. So for 20 years, the number of people that are on our streets and in shelters in Houston remained too high. We were individualistic in our solutions, and so it was scattered and confusing. In 2011, our service partners and funders, both public and private, came together to create a much more organized systems approach. And we had to also set aside some of our traditional thinking that if people could get a little help, they would be able to find their way to these services, get a job, and be able to pay the rent so that then we can move them into their own homes. But we found that that wasn't working. So we adopted a tested concept of housing first, putting people into their own homes and then providing them with wraparound support. Because see, we have to understand the human mind. When we feel like we're lacking something, real or perceived, think about the recent run for toilet paper. You know, we make short-sighted, irrational decisions when we feel like we don't have something. So for somebody who is homeless and doesn't have a place to go to at the end of the day, that's all they can focus on is where am I going to sleep safely tonight and where's my next meal going to come from? Not how am I going to get a job and really move my life forward. So these changes in our community worked. Since 2011, we've been able to take the number of people on the streets and in shelters down by more than 50%. Houston has been able to place 18,000 veterans and other chronically homeless men and women into their own homes so that they too can practice stay home, work safe orders. Having a home is a must, but it's also just the beginning. You know, as we've been practicing social distancing, I think we recognize that we're missing our routines and we miss our connections. And so that's the third common element, overcoming loneliness. People who are homeless are not just hungry for food, they are hungry for connections. And this shows up in unexpected ways. Eli is one of our clients who's been in housing in his own apartment actually for about 3 years now, which is about the same amount of time that he was out on the street. But for the first 6 months, he kept going back and forth between his encampment on the edge of downtown and his new home. And when his case manager asked him why, he sheepishly replied, "The camp is mine. I know it. No matter how hard it is out there are people there that I can depend on." So this is the community that Eli had come to know, who had taken care of him, helped him with food, helped him with tips on how to survive. And when he was moved in his walled off apartment, he felt invisible and lonely at first. Human beings, we are naturally social creatures. Being together allows us to share responsibilities and keep each other safe. So when we're separated and when we have difficulties, we undergo stress. And if the stress is prolonged, it affects our health. So as Search helps people to rebuild their lives, it's just as important for us to help them find and build connections in their healing as it is to help them access traditional healthcare. Search's work spotlights the importance of relationships, the hazards of loneliness, and how we can transform lives through individual connections. So our staff who are skilled and empathy-filled, they are critical initial connectors. Each year, we go out and engage more than 1,000 people on the streets. We ask them about their long-lost dreams, and we give them hope that life can be different. And we show up again and again so that they know that we are with them in the long run. As resources become available, we move them quickly into their own homes. And this is where we can really begin the long journey of recovery. And it can be a bit bumpy, but we teach them how to be a good tenant, how to be a good neighbor. And we help them through our House of Tiny Treasures take care of their children and give them a different future. Search in our community of supporters provide what families of years past would have. We become part of their forge families, not the kind that's chosen for us, but the kind that we choose for ourselves. So your support of Search and our clients is contributing to our community's health. Your engagement allows people to be able to reach and maintain these homes that are so critical today. Thank you so much for connecting with us. I hope that you will stay with us, give, support, because there will be many more people in the months ahead who will need us. So at this point, I have the privilege of recognizing and introducing our wonderful honorees, Carrie and Jonathan Brinston. Through our annual luncheon, we highlight leaders in our community who have drawn special attention to the work of homelessness, because this issue is so difficult and so complex to untangle. Jonathan and Carrie found Search 6 years ago, and since then they have stepped in, stepped up, and never let their foot off the gas. And we are so fortunate for their success and continuing enduring commitment to engaging others and sharing our message about the vital work that we do. Thank you, Carrie and Jonathan, for living and breathing fully what community health is all about. We are so fortunate to have you with us.
Tao, Carrie and I are honored to be with you today. We hope you and your families are well during this unprecedented time. First, I'd like to thank Rick for his unbelievable and tireless community leadership. If something big is going on in Houston, chances are Rick's involved and most of the times leading it. And thank you to Tao and the entire Search team for their incredible leadership. As many of us transition to our homes to shelter in place, still within reach of friends and family and our support systems, many in our community did not have that luxury. As Tao mentioned, what we're seeing is that battling homelessness and the coronavirus actually share three needs: coming together for a greater goal, staying in a safe home, and building and keeping connections. As Tao mentioned, my journey to Search occurred 6 years ago when Midway became a downtown property owner. And homelessness was highlighted by two personal connections, Bill Boyer and Larry Hurd. And what struck me most was the incredible progress being made and the idea that homeless is solvable. We can end homelessness. Since 2012, Houston's revolutionary coordinated access system, along with a housing first strategy, has moved 18,000 homeless men and women into housing. 18,000. However, our work is far from done. We can't let progress make us complacent. Ending homelessness is a reality, and we cannot settle for managing it.
The reality of the current pandemic and resulting economic situation is that the vulnerable members of our community feel the impact the most. We all need to be there to help. Search is one of the critical organizations in Houston's coordinated access system. So please help us support Houston's most vulnerable as we face the challenges ahead. Your support of Search contributes to our community's health, enables people at risk to reach and maintain safe homes, and connects our community so that homelessness can be brief and non-recurring.
So please join Search in making our vision for a Houston without homelessness a reality. Again, thank you for joining us today. We are truly blessed and honored by your connection.
I'm Lisa Johnson. I want to share with you the story of Lonnie Johnson, who was a client of Search. Lonnie's story is a Search success story, but it may not be exactly the kind of success story you're expecting. It's not always to recognize success, especially when it happens mostly on the inside, and when it's a story of changing not only a homeless man's life, but also the life of someone who loves him. Lonnie was my big brother, my hero, and at times my idol. When we were little kids, we were detectives. We were Spanish sword fighters like Zorro. We were Olaf and Frederica, the Viking explorers. We hunted Easter eggs. We went trick-or-treating. We hung our stockings with care by the chimney every Christmas. We went to Sunday school and church. We grew up together in the 1950s. We could have stepped right out of a Norman Rockwell painting. Over the next decade or so, though, Lonnie's path became crooked and bumpy. He went from high school and his first acquaintance with alcohol to the Army, and then to a mental hospital, and to the Texas penitentiary system in Huntsville. When he was released, he came back to Houston in the music world. And there he met a beautiful woman who was a singer, and inevitably they fell in love and were married. And then Lonnie became daddy to a baby girl. As Lonnie's alcohol habit deepened, though, the marriage faltered and finally ended. And to make his heartbreak complete, his baby daughter died when she was just 3 years old. Circumstances and alcohol gradually led Lonnie to the street. The corner of Westheimer and Montrose was his home for the rest of his life. Lonnie and I stayed loosely connected through our mom. It was sporadic, but it was all we had until Christmas 1994. We were at Mom's house celebrating the holiday in all the old familiar ways. Lonnie and I went out to the rickety old wooden yard swing out in Mom's backyard to have some intimate sibling chat. I started asking him questions about his life, the same kinds of questions I suspect that anyone thinks about when they see a homeless person. Where do you get food? Where do you sleep? Where do you keep your stuff? And as Lonnie answered me, I thought, it might be that someone besides me could be interested in this information. And that's when Lonnie and I hatched the idea for a book. We continued that conversation for the next 4 years. I wrote questions for Lonnie on postcards that I addressed to myself and then sent them to him in packets at the address of a flower shop on his corner. He wrote his answers, tossed the cards into a mailbox, and sent them back to me. I received 94 of those cards, and all 94 of them are in the book, Postcards from Lonnie. Being in steady contact with Lonnie was a bit of a mixed blessing for me. I came to know him better than I had in years since he had left to join the Army. I saw his intelligence, his humor and charm, his amazingly powerful connection to the faith of our childhood. But I also saw his sadness, the dangers he lived with daily, and the loneliness that never let up. There was one card that made a special impression on me, and it's the card that started my relationship with Search. I asked Lonnie how I would get in touch with him if there was an emergency. Here's what he answered. He said, call Search, ask for Jennifer. She or one of her cohorts will find me. It was a comfort to know there was an organization that might be able to help us find Lonnie if we needed to. And he had clearly received help of some kind, and he knew he could count on Jennifer and her cohorts. And that was comforting too. But there was something else that came through to me that was incredibly powerful. Lonnie knew Jennifer's name, and I'm sure she knew his name too. He knew she cared about him. He knew Jennifer could be trusted. What a moment it must have been for him when she walked right up to him, looked straight into his probably cautious eyes, and said, "Hi, I'm Jennifer with Search. What's your name?" Lonnie is a Search success story because Lonnie could believe there was somebody nearby who would help him, no strings attached. because he knew I could call Jennifer or one of her cohorts and someone would find him. And that gave Lonnie and his sister a little peace of mind. Lonnie is a search success story because Jennifer made a lasting connection with him. I'll never stop being grateful to Search, to its supporters, its donors, the volunteers, and all the Jennifers for what they gave my brother and me and my family. Until Houston is a city without homelessness, I know Search will continue to provide hope, respect, and connection for every Lonnie they meet. So thank you for everything.
Lisa, thank you for sharing Lonnie's and your story. So moving. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Hanslick. I'm the chairman of the board for Search. And I want to reach out to all of you who are watching and thank you for taking time to join us online to learn more about the challenges our homeless community here in Houston faces every day. Search and our partners have worked together on building community health as a fundamental building block to accomplish our shared mission of making homelessness rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. Today, more than ever, we can all appreciate and recognize the value of community health and true personal connections as our lives have been radically changed by a global pandemic. I hope what you have learned over the past 30 minutes has connected you to our mission and inspired you to join our forged family. We need to all be part of the solution, and your support is critical to our success. Will you please join me in donating to Search today? In these challenging times, even the smallest donations are meaningful. And supporting an organization like Search is an investment in your community, an investment that will ensure that tomorrow is brighter than today, not just for our fellow Houstonians who call the streets, sidewalks, and overpasses home, but for each of us as well. You can donate by clicking on the button you see on the screen or by going to Search's website at searchhomeless.org. For those of you that donate between now and May 7th, your name will be entered in a drawing for a Texans game day package for 4 that includes an on-field experience. The winner will be drawn on May 8th. And if you donate $250 or more today or in that time, we will send you a digital copy of Lisa Johnson's book, Postcards from Lonnie. Your gift of any amount will move more people into homes at a time when having a safe place to call home is more important than ever. So on behalf of the staff and volunteers at Search, but more importantly, on behalf of the people we serve, I want to thank you for joining us today and being a part of our vital mission. Thank you.
The houses caught fire in the fields, and the light was astounding, I guess. I spent many years in the darkness. Oh, I'm tired of trying, I did my best. We all need someone to love and to hold. We all need shelter to keep us from the cold. We all need laughter when life gets hard. We all need someone to love us for who we are right now. That I'll die. I want the whole world at my funeral. Watch as the rainbows explode in the sky. We all need some we won't forget who we are. Don't regret if we walk these new roads. We may forget who we are. No regrets if we walk the same roads. We won't forget who we are. We all need someone to love and to hold. We all need shelter to keep us from the cold. We all need laughter when life gets hard. We all need someone to love us for who we are. We all need someone